Are you communicating well with the people you work with? By the end of this podcast, you're going to have some thoughts on how to communicate with the different personality types in your team, whether that's the people that you're leading or the people who are leading you. I'm Jono White, founder and principal consultant of Clarity. We work with leaders all around the world. Welcome to Leadership Question of the Day. And it really helps us out. If you are listening to this or watching this, we post these on YouTube as well. If you can subscribe, follow, like, share, that really helps us out. It helps to get the word out so that more leaders can become the best they can be, and also so that you can stay in the loop with everything we do around leadership. So are you communicating well with the people you work with? That's the question I want to ask you today. I want to talk about communication based on DISC profiling. I don't know if you've come across DISC, but DISC profiling is one of my favorite. It's actually not a personality type, it's a behavior profile. And DISC profiling is so helpful because it's very easy to just dig into and get a quick idea of how different people are wired. So when it comes to DISC, I want you to firstly think about, we're just going to do this at a very basic level now for you and also for the people you work with. So there are 4 different types, DISC, and I want to talk to you about communication with each of these types. So the first one, D, stands for dominance. Now, people who are the dominant DISC profile as a behavior type and how they make decisions, they're characterized by getting it done. Okay, they're fast and they're task-based. Fast and task-based. I want you to have a think. Who is it that you work with who might be fast, task-based? Short, sharp, fast decision makers, more task than people oriented. Have a think. Maybe you're fast and task-based yourself. And if so, you're probably frustrated with how slowly I'm going in this podcast. And so the idea of communicating with a D, with someone who's dominant, okay? I'm going to keep it really simple in this podcast, but hopefully this is going to be really practical for you. I want you to be thinking short and written, okay? So with someone who is dominant, I want you to be thinking, how can I, rather than meeting them face to face, rather than doing a phone call, how can I do bullet points? Okay, people who are in the D dominance side of DISC, dominance quadrant of DISC, they thrive when you can send them bullet points. So you might be working with someone who's a D, the dominance style, and they're working for you, and you love to have hour-long meetings just to collaborate, and you can see their eyes glaze over 10 minutes in, and so you're wondering, how on earth do I do this? Well, it's not that you don't do the hour-long meetings. It's just that with that person, if you think they're fast and task, if you think they're dominance, have a look at how you can send short written emails as much as possible, because that's probably their preferred style of communication. Let's move around to I. So I stands for influence. People who are the influence style when it comes to DISC in terms of how they make decisions and their behavior, influence, they are fast, people-based. They're often the social butterfly. They're all about getting connected. And so you might be an I. Once again, you might be a bit of the life of the party. You might be, that sort of style. Or you might have people on your team, or you might be led by a leader who's an I, the influence. So how do you communicate with someone who's an I, influence? Well, like the D, because they're fast, you actually don't want to be thinking long meetings. Now, sometimes we get confused with the I's because we think, oh, you know what they'll really want? They love people, so let's just have a long meeting. That'll drive an I insane. Now, they'll love to have a long hangout. They love socializing, but when it comes to work, think short, but face-to-face or over the phone, okay? So for the D's, we said short written, bullet points written. For the I's, wherever you can, pick up the phone, wherever you can, go into their office and have a face-to-face, but keep it short because they move fast. And always include a bit of time for socializing, but get to the point very quickly, and you can do short and face-to-face or short and over the phone. That's our I. So we've got D, dominance, I, influence. Let's move around to our S in the DISC, which stands for, there's a few different ways you can talk about it. I like the word stability. So S for stability. This is the type of person who it's all about getting along. They're stable, they are slow, and they are people focused. Okay, they move slowly and they're all about people. These are the ones who are constantly thinking, how is this affecting everyone else? How is this going to affect the team? Okay, if you are led by an S, or maybe you're reflecting, maybe I'm an S, maybe I'm a stability type, or maybe you are leading someone who you think, yes, that is so them. They're a slower decision maker, but they're very people focused. Okay, here's the thing. How do you communicate with an S? Well, if you want to communicate with someone who's that S style, what you want to do is you want to go, you want long face-to-face or verbal. Long face-to-face or verbal. And the key here, which is the same for the C in a second, is time. So with these guys, the key is time. You need to invest time with them. And when I say invest time, you're going to need to draw things out of them. So if you're leading an S, you can't have a 5-minute meeting and expect to hear what they really think. Maybe a really mature S will be able to do that because they will have prepared, but particularly if you've got a developing leader, someone on your team, you need to give them the time. And I'm sorry to the D's and the I's who move quick, but this often takes half an hour or an hour. Give them the time to draw out. You don't do this on every issue, of course, but when it's something important, invest the time, draw it out from them, find out what they really think and how they really feel. It takes time. So you're going to go long, it's going to take a long time, and you're going to go face-to-face or verbal. You're going to call them on the phone, you're going to talk it through, or you're going to invite them into your office and you're going to talk it through. Or if you're leading up, you're going to make time to be meeting with your leader to talk it through, to help draw out what they think about everything that's happening and to help them get on board with what you're doing and to build the relationship. Okay, that's our S. Let's move to our last one. D, dominance. I, influence. S, stability. C is compliance. You've got to love our C's. Our C's who are in the compliance are slow decision makers and they're based on task. Fantastic at objective reasoning. So brilliant. When everyone else is sold on an idea, they'll go, yeah, but what about this thing that everyone else is way, left? That's been left way behind. But if we didn't stop and think about that, we would have made a really bad decision. So the C, compliance, really important. Great team members. And for them, it's about getting it right. Okay? D is getting it done, I is getting connected, S is getting along with each other, and the C is about getting it right. So how do you communicate with a C? Maybe you're being led by a C and you think, yes, that's them, they're slow and they're task-based. Maybe you are a C and you're thinking, that's me. That is so me, Jono. Compliance, yes. Or you're leading someone who's a C, compliance. Well, the key to communicating with a C is long and in writing. So once again, I mentioned time before. Time is key. When it comes to the S's and the C's, you need to give them time, but in different ways. An S needs time to actually have things drawn out in the meeting with them. But with a C, what you're wanting to do is you actually need to give them time in advance. So before we meet about this as a team, I'm going to give the C all the details in writing a week prior, so they have time in advance. And so you're going to think long and in writing. So just to summarize, how do you communicate with the different types based on DISC? For our D's, dominance, you want to go short and written, bullet points. For our I's, you want to go short but face-to-face or verbal. Pick up the phone and just have a quick conversation and include a little bit of socializing. How you feeling? How's everything going? For our S's, you want to go long and face-to-face or verbal. So you got to pick your things that are important, invite them in your office, block out the time and draw out how they really feel and what they really think. And it'll be worth it because they can be great cheerleaders once you get them on board. And then your C's, you want to go long, but you want to go writing. So sending long emails. You'll know a C, often they'll send essays. If you've got someone who sends you essays and you're thinking, oh my goodness, yes, I always get essays from that person, they're probably a C, or they have a mixture of C in there. And so send them a long written and give them time in advance. Give the S's lots of time in the meeting, but give the C's lots of time in advance before you meet or before the conversation, before the decision needs to be made. And hopefully that will help you communicate even better with the people you're leading. Maybe you're reflecting on yourself and you're thinking, oh wow, I've just had a revelation of what I might be, and you might have some key learnings around how you can better maybe help your team understand you, because that's always really helpful. Or you're being led by someone, you're going, yes, I understand them a bit better now. So hopefully that's been helpful. Once again, it really helps us out if you can follow this, subscribe, like, share with your network, because we want as many people as possible to have our content so they can become the best leaders they can be, and also so that you can stay in the loop. We have so much great content coming out. We've had nearly 1,000 leaders do the 7 questions on leadership, and that's all on our website at consultclarity.org. And hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you for listening or watching, and I'll catch you again soon. Cheers.